Welcome to another episode of Dad's Rules with Kevin Belzer, and today I am joined by a very special guest, Michael. Michael, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, sir. I'm Mike Koenig. I am the pool owner's realtor, and you and I we've met through the Mesa network, and we got a water theme going. So I wanted to investigate that a little bit more.
We definitely do, and you go a little bit farther than I do because you actually will build the pools.
Fix and remodel.
Fix and remodel them.
Yes. I am a licensed general pool contractor. Okay. I became a pool contractor about 9 years ago, and I've done a lot of work with realtors, and then with folks that would call, hey, I just bought a house, I need help with the pool.
Right.
I started my pool company, East Mesa Pools, servicing one pool, and when we built up, and in 18, I got my general pool contractor's license, and the plan was to build at the time, but there's a huge market for remodels. Yeah. So I decided to kind of specialize, and I really do mostly in the East Valley. Mm-hmm. So localize and specialize is kind of the angle there. But there's so much work to be done in helping people.
There is, and there's some of this pool material that they said would last forever that we're finding out that it actually does not. Like those rolled edge PebbleTech pools that are just awful, and all of them need to be remodeled because the edging on the top of all of them has cracked or fallen off.
Correct. Yeah, so it's called a rolled bond beam.
Okay.
And what we see in a lot of those old pools, they'll also have no waterline tile. And that's where we see the cracking. Cement moves. It doesn't look like it does, but it moves with the heat and the cold. And when you got a constant temperature under the water, where the tile line would be, and then everything above it is going to be exposed, especially out here, 115, 120 degrees. So we see those popping off a lot. And what we'll do is we cap it, we square off the bond beam. When we do a remodel, we might add a little decking, or we just put 12-inch travertine around the back edge. Gives it a profoundly better look, but also you're not going to roll your ankle when you're trying to service your pool.
Well, then that travertine look, it's like I hated it when they put it in the house because I always felt it belonged outdoors, around pools and stuff like that, and it adds an elegant level to it.
Absolutely.
As well, so it makes that pool look higher end.
And we have a variety of colors. Now, some, depending on the status of contracting, may be available or not.
Right.
But depending on the color of your decking, we can typically match that travertine so it will match the deck. So it's not too out of place.
Have you noticed in the past couple of years that the cost has gone down as far as materials? Have we come back down yet, or are we still looking high on it?
No. We're going up. We kind of routinely see in a lot of the pages, my pool guide just went up by $70.
Yeah.
Chemical costs have gone up. Before, when I was servicing pools, I would pay $65, $70, I think, for a 50-pound bucket of tablets.
Yeah.
$180 now.
Really?
Sometimes $200.
Is that since 2020?
Since COVID. And there's two factors to that.
Okay.
One is just manufacturing in general. Everything slowed down. The port's backed up.
Right. In
2020, the main chlorine plant in Louisiana was taken out by a hurricane.
We saw a lot of that. You look at 2020 and COVID in general, and people look at it from the medical side of things, but there was a lot of things from the manufacturing side of things that just fell apart entirely across all industries.
Completely. And a lot of the equipment comes from overseas. Manufactured wherever it is, Pentair, Hayward, J&D, whatever. Hayward has a lot of manufacturing here. But even say, if it's shipped, if it's on a ship, it's going to sit in the harbor.
Yeah.
And with the shutdowns of the unions and some of it in the COVID of Los Angeles and Long Beach, boats are just sitting.
Now, have you seen yourself going and looking back towards getting supplies stateside instead? I know there are some pool equipment that is made stateside, like Hayward, I believe, is made stateside.
Hayward is, and so Hayward, Pentair, and J&D are the three main companies.
Okay.
But they all had problems. Even stateside, plants were shut down.
Okay.
Then what happened when everything came back online? There wasn't a lot of QA being done. So things were just
What do you mean by QA?
Quality assurance. Things weren't being checked.
Mm-hmm.
So we were having brand new pumps leaking right out of the box, brand new filters split.
I had that happen to a client.
Right out of the box. And that's where it really backed up. And then pricing and then delays. Now, at the worst point, it was about 8 to 12, maybe 13 months to build a pool.
Yeah.
And now some of the companies are doing it in 3 or 4 months. One of the reasons why I like to stick with the remodels, 2 to 3 weeks.
That's nice.
I usually am in and out of a yard,
Right.
2 to 3 weeks.
Now, you originally just started just doing the pool side, the GC side, and then you moved over into the real estate side of things.
Yes, correct. Correct. So I've from a lot of the clients that I had and some of the realtors that I worked with, that people would get into the pool, get into the house, and now they need their pool work done. Well, there's not a lot of people they're busy. A lot of the contractors are busy.
Yeah.
I kind of blend my business 50-50.
Okay.
I'm not booked out until September. I've just worked with a client the other day that couldn't come in until September to do their pool. We started June 1st. They're going to be swimming this weekend for Father's Day.
That's awesome.
I have a couple crews I work with, and I send them enough work so when I need a job done, I can get it done.
Yeah.
But now on my side, with the real estate aspect, if I'm the realtor on the job, well, it's my crews doing the work.
Right.
So I can save people money.
But you can also give honest bids too.
100%.
Because I can look at it, not having a GC license and all that, and go, well, I think it's like this, but we should go get a bid.
Yes.
That'd be the best that I could do.
Yeah.
Whereas you can look at it and go, okay, well, I know that this pump's going to be this amount. To redo the cool decking is going to be this amount. You can actually go through it, and you just know you can put a bid together and go, this is how much it's going to be.
100%.
It will also help as far as from your negotiating standpoint if you're representing a buyer and you run across issues during the pool inspection to where you can go, hey, this is the amount it's going to take to fix the pool. Or even better yet, say the home's been on the market for a while, you can go in and go, okay, we're going to offer this much less because the pool needs X amount of work to it.
100%. That's kind of one of the main things that I decided to cross over with. Is a big part is that I just have that knowledge.
Yeah.
I've a remodel I'm finishing right now. There were two other pool guys and a contractor didn't even know where the pool light was, which blew my mind. And it was an older system. It's a fiber optic system.
Right.
It has a specific little box in the corner. The other contractor tried to charge them $2,500 to run an entire new light, cutting up the deck.
Yeah.
It was about $1,500. It was a fair amount involved because the concrete person concreted in the box. The box is about, and I am showing on a podcast here, it's maybe 14 inches high.
Okay.
The bottom 5 inches was encased in concrete. So I had to use a grinder to cut the top of the box off. I don't know how many other realtors will have that knowledge or skill to look at it, but at least I can walk in a backyard.
Yeah.
And another aspect of it too, I highly recommend people buy a home with a pool instead of putting in a pool brand new.
Oh, especially now.
Yeah.
With the cost of what they are, it is going to be cheaper to redo that pool that's in the yard rather than build one from scratch. Because when you're looking at the cost now, and I have clients getting bids anywhere from 60 to over 100,000.
Yes.
For it. And sometimes there's no difference in the pool. It's just the companies that they're talking to.
Correct.
And then you're hearing the build out times on some of these. I've had people be told as much as a year.
Yes.
To build a pool. You're dealing with permits and all that fun stuff. And where if it's already in there, maybe you have like some areas you can't put a diving pool in anymore. You know? And yet that pool that's in that yard's a diving pool and it's grandfathered in. So all you have to do is rehab it.
Yes.
We did that on a remodel project in Paradise Valley a few years ago where the deep end was 13 feet. That can't be done anymore. And so it got to be grandfathered in. So us remodeling it was so much fun.
Yeah, it is like you were saying, 50, 60,000 for a basic pool.
And you look at our rehab because it was a big pool. So but you're going back a few years as well, but it was still around 10K. To remodel it. Not bad though. The thing was Olympic size and with a 13-foot deep end. We did the PebbleTech in black. And then we put the colored lights and all that into it. But if you didn't have the lights on, it looked like an abyss.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that depth.
It looked awesome. Yeah, it was pretty menacing when it was done. We actually did that on a couple of remodels in a row, but it made sense to my clients just to remodel, even though like in both cases, well, one, the pool wasn't even finished yet, but it had the permits. So we just had to finish it out. The other one just had to be remodeled. It had been drained. That's the worst thing you can do to a plaster pool.
Oh, yeah. I've come across a fair amount where I'll get a call. The pool's been empty for X amount of years.
Yeah.
I worked with actually an investor on a property in Awatuki last year. That it was rough. It was rough. I needed my aspirator because the water smelled that bad.
Oh wow!
When I got it drained and got some of the plumbing done, it was pretty rough. But yeah, I can most remodels now because prices again have gone up on everything.
Yep.
15 to 20,000.
Okay.
And you've got a brand new pool.
Yeah.
And it looks perfect. It looks ready to go. There's this one here that I just mentioned with the light situation. There were a couple of other interesting modifications made by probably a not licensed person that I had to repair.
Yep.
But I can just look at the whole backyard and be like, this is what we got to do. This is what it's going to cost.
Yep.
And a lot of times, the work's got to be done. It's
correct.
It's there.
Yeah.
I think people would rather, and people I've talked to have agreed, they'd rather know, is this going to cost me $20,000 up front before we buy it? You're buying the house.
Yep.
You love the house. It's the perfect house.
Well,
you don't want to be surprised.
Well, the reality is that the way the market is right now in Arizona with the lack of inventory, they are giving you the value for that pool being in the ground. It's not like it was when we had 84 months of supply back in 2009, where you could buy a home with a pool for the same price as a home without a pool. Now there's a significant difference of the value between the two. Even if that pool needs work, as long as it's holding water, it's going to pass the inspection. If it's FHA, it can't have leaks and stuff with the pumps, that kind of stuff. But outside of that, it's going to pass. So we don't really have to worry about it. But they're getting that initial value already
100%.
of having the pool in there, and now just do the remodel.
Yes, exactly. And then the big one too. I just like the fact house I just closed on last week. They were stopped by this week just to congratulate them, and it was I'm the seller. This is the buyer, and they're painting. They're doing their thing.
Yep.
Probably going to be 2 weeks before they move in. In that amount of time, if they had a pool, I could have remodeled the pool so the day they move in, they can enjoy the pool.
Right.
And not have to wait X amount of months. Because where all my contractors they're all licensed. That's one other thing. There's a lot of people I've worked with in the past that will push a job through. I've lost bids to people that use the unlicensed contractor.
Honestly, I'd rather lose it.
Yeah.
No, because if they want to cut corners, I don't really want to deal with them anyway. We use licensed contractors on our flip properties. Yeah. And it's so much better because it's not on you; it's on their license.
Yes, yeah. And unfortunately, it is my license. So
yeah, no,
I say that. I'm joking.
True it is.
But we do good work.
What has been the biggest aha to you going from just doing the GC work, the pool stuff, over into real estate? What has been the biggest lesson that you think you've taken?
Biggest lesson. It is not as easy as all my other realtor friends have made it look.
You mean it's not like house hunters?
Like, wow. I'm an ADHD guy. I mean,
I think that's kind of a lot of us.
All of us have some part of that.
Yeah.
So the blessing for me right now is actually I've got the pools going while I build the real estate side. So I'm not panicking.
Right.
I'm taking my time, coming on a podcast like this to talk to you.
Well, and look at this way. Is it when I started in real estate 15 years ago, I burned all bridges. This is all I did. In hindsight, I still should have just kept delivering pizzas at night and had money coming in. Yeah. I don't knock anybody anymore if they're keeping income coming in from some other source. I mean, yours makes sense because you can tie it right in.
Exactly.
But I spoke to a potential recruit of an agent earlier today who has a job that it ends around 11 noon every day, and then he could do real estate. But what I liked about it is that I know that he has money coming in to pay his bills, to pay for video editing and all the social media stuff you need to be doing in real estate. He still has the income coming in for that while he's building his career.
Sure.
Because this business is not as easy as everybody says. And what we all have to realize is that we have to screw up. We have to be failing, because if we're not failing, we're not going to be learning how to be successful in this business. Yes. You have to get through all the bad phone calls, all the bad scripting, all the bad showing homes and presentations and negotiations and everything, so that one day you can be the expert at it.
Absolutely.
But that said, my very first deal I ever did, guy walked in the office, said, "Here's the house I want." I went and showed it, wrote on it, and we were under contract. So you can have weird things happen like that.
Sure.
But what I had to learn very quickly is that, oh yeah, that's the exception.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Because I think I've helped 5 people total in my career that walked into
Just
the
walked in
office in 15 years. And that just happened to be a fluke. That happened at all because all the other ones came from grinding, came
Yes.
from open houses,
Yes.
came from the hours of phone calls to where nobody's answering. I mean, there's days that I was like, okay, I just made say 30 phone calls in the last 2 hours. Nobody answered. And I'm like, what a waste of time. And then the next day, a few of them call back.
Sure.
And I start working with them and going, realizing that, oh, it's not necessarily a today business.
Oh yeah. And it's funny. That's one of the reasons why I don't like to build pools. It takes too long.
The
I like
permit
quick
process
things.
alone, we're dealing with permits right now on a remodel. Oh my gosh. The amount of things we're going, because it's a 1957 home and they want everything redone.
Yeah.
Electrical, plumbing, like AC. We had an licensed AC company put the AC on and they didn't like how it was done. And you're like, this is a licensed AC company that did it.
Wow.
They're going to have to come out and do some changes on it because the city doesn't like how things were done. And that whole permit process, whether you're building a pool, because we talked about putting a pool in this home and we're like, yeah, but that's going to be 9 more months we're going to have the home. Yeah. It's not worth it.
Oh,
in that case, so we're in hindsight, we're going, man, if we'd known what we know now, all these months later, maybe we would have done it.
Yeah, the listing that I just had, it was great. It was in Apache Junction, 3 days on the market. It went for above 11,000 over asking.
Yep.
But they were at one of my open houses in December.
Yeah.
And so that's been the biggest probably learning curve. It's a long play.
It's a
marathon.
Yep.
It is not a sprint.
Yep.
And just do those little things and just keep consistent, which I'm working on.
It's a couple things. Don't quit. That's the first thing I'd tell people because they quit and then the lead comes through. You know how many deals I've closed from agents that left and the client ended up calling the office and I ended up helping them because the other agent was not around anymore. They left the business. So 1, don't quit. And 2, follow up.
Yes.
Continually follow up. And in that follow up, bring value. Because, like a listing. If they're not ready today, no problem. I talked to somebody yesterday. He goes, look, I may not be ready for 3 years. That's not a problem. I can still set you up to where you're getting market updates. Because I said, wouldn't you rather be educated on where the market's at any given time?
Yep.
And so that when it is time, that's one thing that we don't really have to concern ourselves with. You're already educated on that. Now let's get down to the marketing of the home. If you got a pool, we're going to jump in it.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I'll have to add that. If you know, I might have to add that, getting wet.
Hey, I do it all the time. I had one last week to where the buyer jokingly said to me, hey, when we close, will you jump in the pool? Because they'd seen the videos and stuff.
Sure.
And honestly, I'd never done it on the buy side, ever.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'd always done it on the selling side. I did it as part of the videos of marketing the home. And on this one, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. So I went live on Facebook. She's like, you're going live? And I'm like, well, yeah. It kind of puts me on stage where I got to do it now.
Sure, yeah.
And called her out. She's standing in the background, called her out and all that, and just jumped in the pool and had a good time. And it's just something different.
Sure.
It's like, I think that agents to be successful down the line, you're going to have to find your niche.
Yes.
It may not be jumping in pools. It may be there's an agent I know that, she reviews taco places.
Yeah, okay.
That's part of her thing. She reviews taco places. And so she does a lot of content around the taco places in different parts of the valley. And that's her little niche. Your niche is that, hey, I can remodel the pools. I'm just not going to sell you a home with a pool, but I can remodel the pools for you if that's the case. I think that in order to be successful in the times going forward, is that's what you have to be focusing on is that what am I special about? What's my niche?
Yep.
And then just embrace it and then broadcast the crap out of it on all the social medias, like a lot.
That's what I'm working on and chatting with Dakota a little bit more about too.
Well, and the funny thing is that we never, we think, even when you think you're doing it enough, we were at a mastermind a few months ago where they broke down my business. And one of the people there goes, I don't ever see you ever talking about real estate. And I said to Jason the other day, I said, you know what's funny is that I go live literally every day and give updates on something real estate, a tip for buyers, a tip for sellers. And yet this person hadn't seen me do that. And what it drove home to me is that, oh, okay, I could get mad that he's not seeing my content, or I could realize I just need to post more.
Yeah.
I
and
need
find
to
out
be,
what his or her thing is. You know what? Maybe they only do Instagram. Maybe they only
yeah.
do
And the thing is,
Facebook or
I
whatever.
do all of them.
Yeah.
And so, but I was like, okay, well, maybe I'm just not posting enough.
Yeah.
It could be, I'm going to take it from, it could be that simple. Is that I'm just not posting enough. They're not seeing my content.
Sure.
Whereas the buyer I closed last week, she made the comment of, hey, I had to work with you before you got famous.
Oh, there you go.
Because she saw my content. So,
Okay.
and I'm like, yeah, right. Thank you for stroking my ego.
Yep.
But, okay, whatever on that. But I was just glad to help her. But she saw my content. By seeing the content, which is the point I'm trying to bring here, is that you're continually raising your hand and going, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. Because over 90% of agents do nothing with social media.
Yeah.
Period. And those that do it, most do it wrong, meaning one post or one post a week, one post every few days. They're not doing enough, and they're not doing a mix of not only business, but personal as well.
Sure.
And really getting people to know and fall in love with you.
Gotcha. Yeah. I have to ramp that up. I do it was part of my first 30-day challenge that Nikki T put out there that was doing the video every morning.
Yeah.
And I think my first one was business related. And then they did a couple of more motivational, inspirational. And I had more people reaching out to me for those.
Yep.
So that's my morning thing. Is right now I'm reading the book, The 44 Laws of Peace.
44 Laws of Peace.
Yeah, and actually Nick
Okay.
puts that out there. And pick one, talk about it.
Yeah.
Just do my walk and talk.
Yep.
Today was a drive and I don't know another word for that one, but drive and talk one.
Yep.
But tomorrow morning I will be back. And this morning was the hardest one to do
Yeah.
because I did not want to do it. Really, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
The second I finished that one, driving up here,
Yep.
it's like, okay, I got it done. And then I edited it,
Yep.
posted it.
Jason Von Payne and I talked about
Yep.
this. Is it going live every day? I look at it that I'm not going to force a topic. So it's going to come sometime during that day. I will go live. It could be first thing in the morning. I've done them at 5 something in the morning. It could also be I roll back out of bed at 10 o'clock at night because finally I had epiphany of what I wanted to talk about. But I said, I always want the content to come across as genuine on it. The other thing is that the more you do it, the sooner you'll find your voice.
Yeah.
So the other reason to do multiple postings, multiple content every day is that eventually to find out who you really are and not be coming across as like, okay, so take, for example, if you listen to Andy Frisella or Gary Vaynerchuk, they curse a lot.
Sure.
And so you're like, well, they have a lot of popularity, so I need to curse a lot. Not necessarily. If you're a cursor, that's fine. I don't care either way.
Sure.
But if you're not going to come across as genuine.
Yeah, it'll be forced.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like I've always looked at that. Yes, I curse, but I'm very strategic of how I curse. They need to be emphasis to the sentence and not be every other word.
Yeah, sure.
I had a friend that I was in the military with whose last name was Booty, and every other word he said was the F word. And he could not structure a sentence without it. And it got to the point to where we'd tell him that you said the F word 47 times before you took a breath. We were counting F words, and we're like, I have no idea what else you said.
Yeah, because that was it.
Right. But you got to find out who you are. And
True.
great. If that's you, fine. But if it's not you and you're heavy metal playing in the background and you're t-shirt guy and blue jeans guy, great. Then that's you too. Because it's like, I know my initial content was suit and tie, dressed up, got to be all polished. Now I'm like, that was never me.
Yeah.
But I had to do enough videos to find out that I wasn't comfortable that way.
Sure. Yeah. And that's where, man, it's one of those, I laugh and go, how Nick knows what he's doing. And he gives the guidance here. And then whether it's the Monday call or the Wednesday call we're on. And I've never got off of one of those calls, not ready to do the next thing.
Yeah.
And that consistency and like I said, today to me was almost not epiphany-ish type of thing, but this was the hardest one today.
Yeah.
I mean, my core did not want to do this
Oh,
thing.
you're going to have days like that.
And
yeah.
then pushing through, now I'm, it's doing the work.
Yep.
And that the talk I did the other day had to do with change. Change is hard. Be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Exactly.
And
Well, because if you're not comfortable being uncomfortable, then you're not growing.
100%.
And so there should be no shock if the next year all you made was either what you made the year before or what you made plus inflation, and that's it, which is not an increase because you're just staying standard, stagnant. So yeah, it's like if you want to ever increase your income, increase your impact on the world, you got to get uncomfortable.
Yeah, and there's I train in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I've been doing that for about 7 years, and that is the highest level of uncomfortable.
Oh yeah,
it is brutal. It's a blast. It's one of two things I do that when I'm hiking on a trail or if I'm training. I'm taking a break from training right now from an injury, but when I'm there, I'm not thinking about a post. I'm not thinking about what do I have to do for the bills. I'm not thinking of anything else.
Yep.
My brain is clear. Same thing when I'm in Superstition Mountain somewhere.
Yep.
My brain is clear, and I can kind of appreciate what's going on.
Yep.
But it's that pushing through, and I have a tendency to go off rambling sometimes, but jiu-jitsu has been one of the best things that's come across my life.
That's what I hear. I listen to Greg Anderson, who has a podcast, Endless Endeavor podcast, and he owns a jiu-jitsu studio as well as a CrossFit studios on the other floor. But anyway, he talks a lot about it, and it just fascinates me, the guests he has on and the talks they have about it and how they seem to have a certain clarity to them.
Yeah. No, there's when you're spending an hour trying to breathe and not be choked up by somebody, it gets you real focused.
Yeah.
Really focused.
Oh, and he's a black belt.
Yeah,
and he still had ones to where he goes, look, there's times to where I can teach the white belt, and there's times where they're teaching me and they're pushing me.
Yeah.
It's just one of those sports to where the color of the belt, sometimes it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. There's I've come across a few times. Now I'm a blue belt, second one in, but I've come across some college wrestlers.
Yeah.
On their first day.
That's what he said too.
Yeah.
He goes, the wrestlers are the hardest because he goes, think about it, they're actually, they have more of a knowledge than a lot of people.
It's very similar. There's some certain differences there, obviously, but very similar. And that's fun. I kind of enjoy rolling with them. I'm also enjoying my break because I'm getting to breathe easily every single day right now.
Well, he does talk that injuries do come with it.
They come with it. And it takes on average 10 years for somebody to get a black belt.
If you're in the right studio, that's correct.
It takes, it's not a quick thing.
You can do it quicker, but you'd have to be going 4 to 5 times a week. Yeah. That's the only way to do it. If you're doing about 3 days a week, it's going to be about 10 years.
It takes a while.
Yeah, it's going to take a while, and it should.
Yeah.
It shouldn't just be handed out. Yeah. There's some studios that do that because Greg said he's had people visit that are supposedly this higher belt and they just get their butts kicked because they were in the wrong studio.
Yeah, we're very lucky actually in the Phoenix metro area. We're talking multiple international level black belt champions across the valley.
Wow.
It's incredible. My coach, Alex Martinez over at Aries East Mesa Jiu-Jitsu, he's amazing. Paul Nava, who pretty much was the main person for Aries in Phoenix. He started off with Nava BJJ and multiple world champion time. Yeah. And so I've been very lucky and blessed to literally roll with some insane, what we call killers. It's just silly. And I'm a rag doll or the nail half the time, most of the time, but it's a blast.
Yeah.
And it helps perspective on everything else.
I think that if you're in any kind of entrepreneur field, you better have something outside of that that's going to push you a different direction as well as take your mind away from whatever that entrepreneur thing is. Yeah. So it's like I work out, I go for walks, I write. There's other things I do, the podcast. Yeah. There's other things I do that are unrelated to my field. It's like, I'll have a podcast every now and then where I talk about my field. Yeah. But it's still an escape from it.
So are we going to get you into any of the academies for a little?
I don't know.
There you go.
I don't know on that. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I've thought about it, but if I did it, I'd want to put the proper commitment in the 2 to 3 days a week.
It
And
requires that.
if I don't feel like right now, I feel I'm at a time in my life where I can't give that, I won't do anything half-assed because it's just not my
100%.
personality.
That's one of the reasons why another reason why I'm taking a break is the injuries come upon us. But I've got the pool company that I'm active, and I'm doing the real estate that I'm active in, and I was getting stressed out because I couldn't make it to class.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? Let's just pump the brakes.
Yeah.
It'll always be there.
Yeah.
And I can walk into any academy anywhere. I mean, my academy now is across the street, so that's where I go. But just taking that break and being able to step back a little, it's taking my stress off in another way.
Yeah.
So now I can focus on the other two businesses. So if I've got something I have to get to at 4 p.m., I'm not in the back of my mind saying, okay, I got to get out of here as fast as possible because class is at 6.
Yeah.
So it's works in both ways, and looking forward to getting back eventually.
Well, you're going to go through seasons.
Yeah.
And that just happens to be your current season, is that you realize that maybe some focus needs to put in that. I'd still say try to figure out a way to put it back in, once you're healed.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It is the my one zen place, being choked out. Having somebody try to kill me.
I know it makes no sense, but when I hear
sense.
Greg talk about it, I'm like,
makes me
all right.
So,
So I was like, I've listened to 150 some episodes of him talking about it.
I'll have to check his podcast out.
I highly recommend it. Yeah. And just like everybody, the podcasts get better and better over time.
My coach has one, actually. It's the BJJ Foxcast.
Okay.
And it's, I think he's been doing it about a year now.
Yeah.
And it's all local and sometimes some international folks coming from different parts of the area, the country, and they'll be on the podcast. And it's just, it's a similar thing. Entrepreneurs as well that are running an academy, or as a realtor, or as a pool guy, or as a AC guy that we're running our own businesses.
Right.
It's all the same. It's discipline, it's dedication, it's being there and just applying whatever that.
It's just a different product
to the new product.
Yeah, it's just a different product.
So it's cool.
That's why you can always learn from other entrepreneurs if they're not in your field, because it's just a different product, but the rules are the same across the board.
Yes, 100%. So good times.
Yep. So we're going to wrap it up here.
Awesome.
And if you guys like the show, please like, share, comment, leave a review. It all helps the show grow. If you'd like to pick up some of our swag, like the trucker hat or the shirt I'm wearing, we have them on the swag shop at dadsrealswag.com. And until next time, go out and be the kick-ass adult I know you all can be.